should go find the fuse box. I think Dempsey is right. It is a bit fishy.
Did you see that? Well, yeah, you just clicked on the video, but I mean, really, let's look at it again. It's a normal match of zombies, and Nikolai here takes a sip of Quick Revive and throws the bottle away, and then is granted a tremendous boost in power. The reason I point this out here is because he only takes a sip, as opposed to drinking the full beverage. Is that not a little bit odd to anyone else? So why am I fixating on this right now? Well, for as long as I can remember, it's been a pretty common, yet infinitely interesting zombies-themed shower thought to wonder what would happen if a person drank a full Coca-Cola. Instead of just taking a sip, what if they finished the whole bottle? Today, I want to have an in-depth look to be able to find out just that. Now, I'm gonna warn you, there are lots of technicalities and what-ifs and a ton of maybes. So some of this is gonna be my own speculation, but I am gonna try my best to keep as lore accurate and sensical as possible. I'm not saying what I'm about to tell you is a concrete answer to this age-old question, but in my eyes, I think it's a pretty good theory. So with all of that out of the way, let's get digging. I think the most important thing to lay down on the table here is what a perk actually is. The surface level explanation I could give you is that in zombies, players drink these weird magical drinks that give you powers and help level the playing field against the fight with the undead. Whether you're a veteran of the series or you've played zombies literally once in your life and managed to drink a perk, then everyone is going to know them by that description. That would be okay as a surface level description, but that isn't what we need. We need something a bit more in depth. Upon taking up the task of doing some research for all of this, surprisingly it took me some time to get an actual description. A description that says what they are and also what they do to a human body. And the first thing that I wanted to look for is how they were made. And we've been given this answer in a pretty straightforward manner, because all we have to do is turn to the description of the map that introduced perks into COD Zombies in the first place, and of course wearing the crown for the scariest map in Zombies 2, I am of course talking about Verrückt. So in the description it says electroshock therapy, chemically engineered beverages, hordes of undead Nazis, find the power to unite and send them back to their graves. As you can see, we've instantly just found our answer. We've learned that a Perk-a-Cola is chemically engineered, meaning there's an assortment of chemicals used with productivity and efficiency in mind in order to produce something. Perk-a-Colas are obscure beverages crammed with weird ingredients and chemicals to enhance the user's body. We actually see those odd ingredients in Cold War Zombies. They can actually be found on the back of the perk cans models, those perk cans being what replaced the bottles from the previous games. Whenever you buy a perk from their respective machine, the animation where you go to crack the can open and then go to drink it does reveal some of the ingredients, since you swivel it round to be able to open it. And if you want to see all of the ingredients, you can just look at the model of the cans and read all of the nutritional information and ingredients. Juggernog, for example, contains carbonated milk, spinach juice, pure gumption, and, get a load of this one, powdered crocodile eggs. Yeah, this is really strange stuff. But considering the perks in Cold War are part of the Dark Ether story, and so they were made by Kazimir Zykov, you might remember him as the gas mask man from the D Machine intro, and this isn't the original Ether storyline, so I'm not going to be including them in this theory, because that is a whole other can of worms, as some old British omnipotent being would say. Another reason is because this most likely means that they're made differently, and although they do the same thing, they technically are different, so it's more like a Coca-Cola and Pepsi type of thing. With the Ether Story Perk-a-Colas, they're very well known by not only the player base of zombies, but also the characters themselves, for tasting nothing but foul, or not too bad. As to the actual flavour of each perk, it seems like that can vary to each user, despite them drinking the exact same perk. For example, Mule Kick, according to Dempsey, tastes of beer, but when Takio drinks it, he says it tastes taste of cola, which little things like this from characters seem to imply that perks taste different due to the consumer. Another example of this is Speed Cola. Upon drinking the perk as Moralton, he'll mention how there's no sugar or dairy in the product, but when Primus Dempsey drinks it, he says that he can't remember the last time he had sugar, with his rations barely being edible, which can make getting the exact flavour of some perks very, very tricky to nail down. Although it seems widely agreed upon that Quick Revive tastes of fish, with Takio being the only one to like it, which I'm assuming is a nod to his Japanese culture.
This tastes a little like sushi.
Kinda like the taste equivalent of my red isn't the same as your red, the theory that states we may see the same colour differently, yet we call it the same thing. It's all good talking about what a Perk-a-Cola tastes like, but what about why you should drink it? What abilities would one give to you? The way a perk can change the user's body depends on what you drink. Stamina Up, for example, increases your sprinting speed, Juggernog makes your body tougher and more durable, Speed Cola makes your movements faster. I'm sure you get the point. The way you can find out what ability you can gain before drinking these is by walking up to the machine they're dispensed from and listening to the perk jingles. You can also pay attention to the visual cues on the machine itself as well, but you know, the perk jingles are just so good. They're catchy, iconic, and act as a mini sales pitch to make you go, yeah, I'll drink this whimsical liquid I've never heard of before. If a perk jingle doesn't make you want to indulge in chugging a shit ton of mysterious chemicals in an unknown drink, then I honestly don't know what will, cause they sound amazing.
When everything's been dragging you down, grabbed you by the hair and pulled you to the ground. If you wanna get up, you need a little revive. If you wanna get up, you need a little revive.
Like seriously, I used to have PhD Flopper's jingle as my ringtone at one point. In a game of Call of Duty Zombies, when the player drinks the perk and gains their newfound ability, they have it until they are downed or just die completely depending on the game. To me, this is suggesting that with enough damage to the body or time passed, they end up wearing off. Something else that I feel is worth mentioning when we're talking about what a perk is, comes in the form of a question. That question being, where do these come from? The in-lore explanation here is that Dr. Monty and Group 935, but mainly Dr. Monty here, he makes these in his own factory, and when I say makes, I mean mass produces. And that may sound hyperbolic, but honestly, if you go onto Black Ops 3, go onto the zombies menu, and then go onto the Dr. Monty's factory section where you use your liquid diviniums, you can see for yourself, if you look in the background, there are conveyor belts with tons of perks, all going to a place I've got no idea of. Maybe they're being sent to many different timelines, but the longer you gaze into the background of that screen, the more perks you'll end up seeing. Group 935 would also go on to make them, but only because of Monty's influence, which is something that is also revealed to the players at some point in BO3. Regardless of who made them though, that means we have two sources here of perk making. We got Dr. Monty in his factory, and then Group 935 in their many research facilities pumping these things out as well, I'm guessing, which sure is a lot of perk production and definitely is food for thought. The insane amount of perk produce made from Dr. Monty's factory alone directly correlates to how long they last. Because if one perk such as Juggernog made you stronger forever, why would you need to drink another one? You wouldn't. So why would they need to make as many perks as they do and distribute them into machines if only one is enough? The only thing that this could mean is that they're supposed to wear off and be drank again, much like the effects of caffeine in coffee. Now, most people usually drink the old dirty bean water in a morning to get that energy, despite the taste being another reason here, but mainly with that caffeine in mind, and then once that caffeine is used up, it then wears off, and if someone wants more, then they'll get more coffee. So when we're talking about the characteristics of a perk and how long it would last, it seems as though caffeine is a good reference here. But remember, we see our characters take only a gulp or two. And now this leads us onto our next part. besides what the attributes of them actually are, what changes do the Perk-a-Colas actually make to your body? For this, we have to introduce and thank Black Ops 4. Say what you want about BO4 zombies, but one of the jingles for Wonder Fizz, that being the perk machine that can give you any perk, is quite useful in not only explaining what perks are as a whole, but also some of the side effects and how they affect the body of the user. By BO4 changing the perk system as we know it, despite keeping the same Perk-a-Colas, and adding or removing perks to keep a supposedly varied playstyle for everything, it meant that you could assign perks to any perk machine, and considering the amount of perks that are in BO4, that would take a lot of time and effort to be able to have a separate model and perk jingle for every single one. So this is where they added 4 Wonder Fizz machines for the player to be able to put 4 perks on any of these machines, and those 4 machines would be present in the map. There's a handful of jingles that comes from these machines that, like I mentioned earlier, because it can't account for every single perk in the game, it therefore describes perks as a whole. Take a listen.
Makes your hair full and thick.
Say, that's quite a trick.
Makes your muscle that strong.
More right than wrong.
Your math scores will soar.
Brains galore.
It'll straighten your tie.
My, oh my.
Will improve your IQ.
Better than 102?
You'll be a real man.
She's talking about me,
Be
man.
more popular at parties.
More unstupid smarties.
Clear up your pimples.
Those are dimples.
Wonder Fizz is more than a soda, but no one really knows what Wonder Fizz is.
Wonderful Wonder Fizz soda. Wonder Fizz may cause anal fissures, sexual side effects in men and women, may cause elephantitis of the uvula. Do not operate heavy machinery or consume pork or dairy products immediately after consuming Wonder Fizz. And if you're over 50, please consult your physician before enjoying the wonderful Wonder Fizz family of sodas.
Wonder Fizz is more than a soda, but no one really knows what Wonder Fizz is. Wonderful Wonder Fizz.
So, there's a lot there. Enhancing your body by making your muscles stronger? In that case, you actually can be built different. Improving general beauty and body health with the hair altering, making you more socially confident by probably changing your mental state most likely. There's even more signs of these perks helping with your hair and beauty and skincare by clearing up those pesky pimples. For pimples to appear on a person's face, they need hormones in their body called androgens. So it would appear that the perks can once again improve your health via clearing your skin, altering your hormones, so they end up fizzling out. I hope that one wasn't too sciencey. Wonder Fizz perks even raise your IQ, making you way more big brain. It's safe to say that these aren't just some high or sugar rush, although notice that even the advertising jingle says that no one really knows what Wonder Fizz is, so we can't get an exact measure on the chemical reaction in the body, but what we have picked up here is that there are even terrible side effects from what the song mentions, such as elephantitis, which is a terrible disease by the way, which can swell your body up to huge proportions, making the skin thicken to resembling an elephant's skin, hence the name. As well as these, don't demonetize me please, this is for educational purposes. I don't think YouTube are gonna want me saying that one. And other, quote, sexual side effects. Have fun thinking about what those could be. And remember, these side effects are only mentioned in the song. There could be so many more. Richtofen has a quote where he mentions that speed cola in particular can rot the user's brain. Seems like that one took a bit of a drastic leap from those fissures to this is gonna rot your brain. From what I can tell, I'm gonna make a guess based on some research I've done about genetics and hormones and chemicals, with that research being about how chemicals can cause mutations, with the perks in zombies being chemically engineered, and with the changes it makes to your body being in consideration. I think it's safe to assume that Perk-a-Colas cause mutations in the body of whoever is brave enough to drink it, and so I think that this one checks out and makes some sense. If we look at DNA in human bodies, it appears that it can in fact temporarily change, mixing up the hormones with it, and therefore being able to do things like what we mentioned earlier, such as making you stronger and improving your overall health, intelligence, and everything in between. Now there definitely definitely are unknown factors here, since I can't say I've ever actually chugged a bottle of PhD flopper, and speaking of PhDs, I sure as hell don't have one of those in science either. It seems that from all the jingle mentions, as well as many of the quotes that characters have said about Perk-a-Colas, it's that if they grant these amazing abilities to whoever drinks them, but can wear off since our characters can never seem to keep them in-game, especially from map to map, the fact that they are mass-produced by Dr. Monty and Group 935, then put in vending machines, implying multiple uses when you need more, like dosing yourself up on medication. I'm concluding here that a perk temporarily alters your DNA, changing the user's attributes radically and tampering with their hormones, collectively mutating them for some time until it wears off, then they need to crack open another cold, fish-flavoured quick revive. And chemicals and elements can in fact cause mutations, with radiation being the most obvious example here. Now, we may not have the exact ingredients, but I think it's safe to assume that considering this is Call of Duty Zombies, there probably is a lot of chemicals that do a lot of things, some that we might not even know about, that do in fact change a human's DNA sequence temporarily. I'm sure there's one fake element that you can think of in the Zombies universe that has seemed to change people's whole body, so much to the point that they turned into super strong and super fast zombies. That fake element that is inside of these chemically engineered beverages is 115. How about we look up when perks were made in the official Zombies timeline? June 13th, 1942. As a result of temporal rifts in 1963 Kino, Monty reaches across time and offers little nudges. One nudge is developing Group 935's Element 115 fused elixirs. They create 4 medicinal beverages known colloquially as Juggernog, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, and Double Tap. As the timeline said there, 115 infused elixirs. And knowing that perks have 115 in them changes everything, because now we have definite confirmation that 115 mutates the body, hence the zombie friends that have been chasing us over the years. However, in these perks, these are small bits of element 115 that we're consuming, which would give the user just enough exposure to give them certain powers, but not enough to actually turn them into a zombie, with the decaying process beginning, which then adds up to what Richtofen said about Speed Cola rotting the user's brain. Putting 2 and 2 together, it seems like having too much of a perk could lead to some pretty severe consequences. And so now we have the knowledge that 115 is the ultimate secret sauce, the real ingredient here, that makes most of the change. And now we also know how the perk will change the body, aka changing DNA for mutation. And now that we finally have that answer, how about we finally take a look at what a full perk bottle could do. With all of this info laid out on the table, it's time to get to the meat and potatoes. We know how the sausage is made, and well, this is a real big schlong, so let's go. Really quickly, let's overview what we have. There are Perk-a-Colas which contain a full bottle stuffed with chemicals, element 115, and who knows what else. And in Zombies, the player only takes 1 sip and yeets the bottle away when they purchase a drink from a certain machine. Yet they gain spectacular abilities. So what if you, a human being, musters up the courage and drinks a full bottle of 115 goodness? It's a fairly reasonable idea to think that maybe the user would kick the bucket and their body would just shut down, which is probably a bad way to go, which does at first seem to make sense considering the potentially harsh chemicals in them as well as the obvious 115, but since we deduced earlier that all these perks enhance your body, minus a few side effects, and they seem to be consumed whenever they are needed as opposed to just once, it makes sense here to say that there would be no point in drinking even one if it's gonna just game end you. If we take into consideration that only drinking a small amount gives already strong effects, imagine if a person wasn't being chased by hordes of the undead and managed to down a whole perk bottle. If you drink only some caffeine, you'll feel it, but drinking a whole coffee, for example, will give its maximum effect. I believe that the same thing applies here to our beloved beverages of survival. I propose that if a whole bottle is consumed, the drinker will gain the max potency efficiency from the perk, something which is a very reasonable train of thought. Say if someone drank stamina up like what we see in game, taking only a mouthful, from looking at the effects of the perk, taking only a mouthful gives you a 7% increase in your sprint speed, and the difference in how fast you sprint is night and day. Stamina up lovers, you already know how fast you end up going. And just keep in mind, that is only 7%. So chugging on the whole 115 drink is going to give you borderline superpowers. Powers which will wear off, but will take a long time to do so. Considering you are dosing yourself up with more of it, only further increases its effects. This is one of the most popular theories I've seen, but upon doing the research on what a perk is and how they change and affect a person, it seems to check out here. However, what if you drank 2 Perk-a-Colas consecutively? Going off of everything that we know now, at this point, it would increase your effects even further. You would be like a demigod. It seems fair to say that you probably shouldn't drink 2 of them in rapid succession, because if it boosts the unique abilities that you get from these strange brews, then you can bet your ass that the side effects listed in this song, and I'm guessing there are a ton of others waiting to be even more likely to happen, which at that point, Perk-a-Colas become a serious health risk. Richtofer mentioned that Speed Cola can rot the user's brain, easily one of the more fatal side effects there, that of course they wouldn't tell you about in the advertisement jingle for Wonder Fizz. If you drank 2 whole Speed Colas, then that brain rot has an even higher chance of coming up, and if you have any more, you're probably done for at that point. So my final theory here is that supping on a nice bottle of Juggernog would give you incredible power. Finishing that bottle would be even better, upping your survival factor from the undead by an astounding number. You would feel an overwhelming surge of power, and as we've just deduced, drinking more than 1 is going to increase your power further. You would feel immortal, a demigod that has rose to the surface to slay zombies. But also with that comes your chances of side effects being boosted, both minor and fatal, and this would scale as you keep drinking more and more, until you drink 1 too many and topple to the floor, except with these 115 induced, chemically engineered beverages inside of you. I'm almost certain that you won't be getting back up anytime soon. Blah blah, that's just a game theory, blah blah blah. This really is just a theory though, one which I've researched and put together in hopes of getting some sort of answer to this question. Although I'm sure that there are some gaps, or maybe even leaps in research or reasoning, but we are talking about COD Zombies here, a franchise well known for its frickin' time travel, Nazi zombies, and of course, whimsical power-giving beverages. This is also just my own perspective and theory, so if you do have some other interesting explanation or any theories of your own, drop them in the comments. And yes, it is just a game, but with the wacky stuff that zombies throws at you, how can you not think about these kind of things? Ultimately, I thought those would be fun to take a delve deep into this to get an answer. And you know, I think the answer that we got in the end wasn't half bad. But anyways, I'm gonna leave this video here today. If you enjoyed, be sure to smash the like button, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, turn on the notification bell too. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you ever happen to stumble upon any mysterious, glowing, colourful liquid, don't drink it.